Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for today's writing lesson. Today's Tuesday, so we're working on lesson 2 for the week and we're focusing on informative writing. Let's have a look at our learning intention and success criteria for today. We are learning to write an information report using our gathered information. So you might remember from the last couple of weeks, we've been working on gathering information about an animal, and that was the lion. So today what we're going to be doing is putting that gathered information into an actual information report. So that's a really important name that you need to remember there, information report, because that's the kind of text that we are learning to write. Let's look at our success criteria. I can write a classification. So now we're going to be putting our gathered information into a report and sorting the report into different parts. So the first part is the classification. I can write about an animal's appearance. So we're going to be writing about the appearance. I can write about the animal's habitat. I can write about the animal's diet, and I can write an interesting fact. So I thought I would go through today the steps to actually writing an information report, just so you can understand why we've been doing what we've been doing. So there are 4 main steps that we need to remember. And the first one is step 1, research information. So that's what we've been doing as we've been filling in our gathering information chart, is we've been researching information by reading texts about lions, visiting websites about lions, maybe watching videos about lions. So all those videos I showed you and the information we got about lions, that was all researching. That was part of our step 1, which is our research step. Now the next step is to gather the information, which we also did. We got the information that we needed and we wrote it onto our gathering information chart. Now the next step, step 3, is to actually write the report. So we're going to use the information from our gathering information chart and put it into an information report. Then the last one, step 4, is to check the report. Every time we write a text, every time we write something, we need to be able to go back and check that we've got all the things we need and check that everything's right, all the information is right in there. So that's the very final process that we're going to be doing. The last thing we do is we check that our report is correct and it's got all the information we need. So this is what your gathering information chart should have looked like before we put all the information in and we did all our research. And then when we put all the information in, this is what it looked like. We had the classification, lions are mammals. We had the information about the appearance. Lions have a fluffy mane and sharp teeth. We had the diet. Lions eat meat like zebras, deer, and buffaloes. We had the habitat. Lions live in savannas and grasslands. And then we had an interesting fact, and ours was lions can sleep up to 20 hours per day. So everyone by now, after following that process we've been through, should have a completed gathering information chart that looks something like this, or however you set it out on your piece of paper at home, or however you set it out in your workbook. You just should have all that information there. So what we're going to be doing today is getting that information and putting that into a report form. Now, it might seem like we are repeating ourselves, like we are just writing the same things. Well, practice makes perfect. The more we practice, the better we get at things. And writing the same information again is going to help us remember the information a bit better. So you'll see on the next slide, I'll show you what an information report looks like, and it will have the same information that we put into our gathering information chart, but it looks a bit different. So here's what our information report should start to look like. So we must have a title at the top, okay? We need a title that tells the reader what our information report is going to be about. So we were focusing on lions, so a great title for that would be Lions. Then underneath that, the first thing we need in our actual report is the classification. Next thing is the appearance, then we've got the habitat, then we've got the diet, and lastly, we finish off with our interesting fact. So that's how our report is going to be written out. And you can see that on my example here, I've actually got some lines there for writing. So if we were doing this at school, you might receive a sheet that looks like this, and you would need to use that sheet to write your information on the lines. Now, I know you're at home, so you might have a different piece of paper. Maybe it doesn't have lines, maybe it does have lines. Whichever way you can lay out your information report on the piece of paper you have is fine, as long as the bits of information are underneath each other, so you can start to see and understand what an information report should actually look like. So here is my example of the information report about lions. So you can see at the top here, and I'll just highlight the important stuff. We've got the title, which says lions. Simple. Then for the classification, I will go back to my gathering information chart and check what the classification was and write it in this section. Lions are mammals, and that's my classification done. My first sentence of my information report is done. The next sentence needs to be about the appearance. Lions have a fluffy mane and sharp teeth. So all I did was I got that information from my gathering information chart and I put it here. Next one, habitat. Lions live in savannas and grasslands. Next one, diet. Lions eat meat like zebras, deer, and buffaloes. And the last sentence is lions can sleep up to 20 hours per day. So you might like to keep this slide up so you can copy this layout into your workbook or onto your piece of paper that you're working on at home. If you want, you might like to also write those headings. So you can write, title, classification, appearance, habitat, diet, and interesting facts. If you like, you can write those headings on your page just to remind you the order that everything goes in. But if you don't want to write those headings on your page, that's fine too. You can just write the sentences underneath each other. Just make sure you leave a space, maybe a line in between each sentence, so that we can really see where the different sections are. So for example, under the classification here, I'm going to just get a red marker. You might leave a line there and then write about the appearance. Then leave a line there, write about the habitat. Leave a line there, write about the diet. Then leave a line and write the interesting fact. So now it's your turn to have a go at writing your own information report. And like I said, I know it's the same information that we were working on when we were doing our gathering information chart. That's fine. It's just practicing now how to put it into an actual report. I can't wait to see your final reports. Make sure you take a photo of your final report and you can put it on your Google Classroom doc so Miss Coote and I can see your finished work. So what I'll do now is I will erase the highlighting that I've done so that you can clearly see the writing if you would like to use this slide to copy from. Or you can always go back to your gathering information chart and just copy the information from there as well. Now, you may remember seeing our checklist for our information report in other lessons that I've done with you. And we're going to use this checklist again today because that's step 4 of our information report writing process. We're going to use it to check that we've got everything we need. So I'm going to base it on the information report that I wrote, the one that I showed you before. And you are going to use it at home to check that you've got everything you need in your finished information report. You don't need to copy down this checklist at all. You don't need to write it down anywhere. Just make sure you understand that we need to get into this habit. It's a very important habit of checking things to make sure we've got exactly what we need. So in my information report, I had a classification at the beginning. So I'm going to put a tick there. I also had the appearance. I also had a sentence about the habitat. I had a sentence about the lion's diet. And then I also had a sentence to finish it off with an interesting fact. So like I said, you don't need to copy this into your book, but just maybe in your head, you can pretend to check off those things, check your own information report, and make sure you've got them. All right, now that we're done with our lesson today, let's go back and reflect on our learning intention and success criteria. We are learning to write an information report using our gathered information. Yes, we did write an information report. We looked back at our gathering information chart to find the information we needed to put in our report. Success criteria. I can write a classification. Got that? I can write about the animal's appearance. Tick. I can write about the animal's habitat. We did that. I can write about the animal's diet, and I can write an interesting fact. So if you followed along with today's lesson, you should be able to also tick up in your head those things in our success criteria as well. Great listening today, everybody. Thank you for being a part of today's lesson. Miss Coote and I can't wait to see your final information reports about lions. And if you want, you can also do another labeled picture of your lion and put it into your information report, maybe somewhere at the end of your report. Usually a picture goes at the end of the report. Or if you had already a picture that you did from when we did one of the other lessons, the lesson where we were learning about how to draw the lion and we labeled the lion's body parts, you can just use that picture again and put it at the end of your information report. And that means that your report is complete. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.